That was my most accurate throw this entire tour, Roger. I actually hit my intended target for the first time in MIB tour history. Thank you. Rog, what's wrong? You've had it. Mid-tour Rog. Okay, live from the Novo in downtown LA. It's the Men in Blazers. This Cup's for You World Cup Tour.
What a day of days.
You love a good Cardi, Rog. And we are not alone. We are live right now on Twitch, where thousands, potentially tens of thousands of GFOPs around the world are watching.
And what a night of nights to join us following a day of football that was essentially like shaking up a can of Coke and then ripping off the tab, having dropped in a few Mentos. And America, I know you love penalty shootouts. And I think even Dana fucking White loves penalty shootouts. And if you're one of those human beings, today was for you.
On Telemundo, Rog, it's all been penalty shootouts. They haven't done anything else in this whole World Cup. Okay, we're going to break all of today's action down. We're going to look ahead to the of Angel City FC. San Diego Chargers running back Austin Ekeler. Comedy hero of this show, Will Arnett.
And manager of your MLS Cup champions, LAFC, Stevie Cherundolo.
He Cheruns and he Dolos. What a back four that lineup would make. And with guests this optimal, Roger, it makes sense that we are in the entertainment capital of the world, a city that gave us the Showtime Lakers and then Space Jam back to back.
Everything I learned about this city, I learned by inhaling Beverly Hills 90210. Unbelievable glowing in the light of 1,000 suns when it was lived here in Los Angeles, California. I'll just say R.I.P., Nat, Peach Pit forever, Joey Tata, you ledge.
LA, Rog, also home of UCLA, your NCAA national champion UCLA women's football team.
We had that championship game on backstage in Atlanta, and what a roller coaster. Down 2-0 late in the second half, like the Dutch. But your Bruins knew how to actually storm back proper. 3-2, that's how you do it in extra time. Food Veghorst, what a team.
Yeah. This city really is proper football, Rog, boasting the likes of not one, not two, Rog, but three top-tier professional football soccer clubs. Your 2022 MLS Cup winners, LAFC. Those Falcon handling and star-studded LA Galaxy, Beckham, Gerrard, Zlatan, and currently that most famous of celebrity sons.
No, it's not Chicharito, and no, it's not Chet Hanks. It's Jonathan Klinsmann. Donovan. Oh, that's a bit harsh, JK.
But let's move on to more glorious LA stories. Angel City FC. That glorious NWSL expansion side.
God, look at that tifo. A new dawn. And then they delivered a season of human wonder and glory and just incandescent.
City, a city that suffers happily through 4:30 a.m. Premier League kickoff times. Week in, week out, we're there.
4:30 a.m. Premier League Budweisers are in my top 10 favorite Budweisers. And Davo, I will say, Californian love for the Premier League is real love. And I admire, I really do, the tenacity and the sacrifice you LA Premier League fans. I mean, up at the crack of dawn, reveling in the game with a love that is as diverse and wonderful and multicultural and homegrown as your city. And we are here tonight, I hope, to celebrate every facet of it all with you, Los Angeles, you beautiful, beautiful metropolis.
Okay, keep your comments out there coming in on the Twitch if you're watching in Twitch land, but to a...
Yeah, because otherwise I'm fucked.
Perfect. There were Roger's buttocks.
Yes. Oh, I had to change my pants. I was so excited. Come on, let's do
Okay,
this.
Roger, could you please kick off this evening and all of us? I know, he said finally a proper sport.
Yeah, he said finally. He said finally. Well, he loved the way the Argentinians tried to choke the Dutch out.
Yeah.
But I kept thinking, the US men should have played today. They should. Our talent, our ability, undone, almost tricked by the Dutch doing us dirty by having a pragmatic, cunning, tactical plan. How dare they?
Unfair.
How dare they, right?
Unfair. They practiced their set pieces. They made adjustments.
It's not, I mean, and also our gung-ho naivete in walking straight into aforementioned trap. And I say that only partly in jest, because I do believe the Dutch beat us fair and square, smartly, emphatically. But I also believe this, that the United States men, where we demand more, where we achieve more, it's the moment for hard questions, honest answers, and an action plan. And I'm not counting, but the 2026 World Cup is 1,278 days away. And I raise this to believing in ourselves more, America, to willing more, and to making our dreams so very real. Courage.
In addition, we would be remiss if we did not mention the tragic passing of renowned, pioneering football, soccer journalist Grant Wahl in...
I think the first professional full-time journalist in our sport in America, which is a mad thing, but it is true. He was that person. Like, that is a first in American history. I remember meeting him early on and just being like, oh my God, that's possible. I can't believe that's possible. It felt like a dream at Sports Illustrated, and he pioneered that path with a style and a class as a man of value who lived by his values. And it's almost devastating. It's almost too hard to come on tonight, to be candid. Yeah. Our heart goes out to his wife, Celine Grounder. And I'll just say, we always say, life is short, savor every second, take nothing for granted. And there's a poem by, and to everything that he has given to football. And the one thing, if you met Grant, you know he loved nothing more than talking about football.
Yeah.
And we're going to dedicate the rest of the show to him tonight and follow that lead.
Absolutely. He died doing what he loved. We saw him on our sports network, Prime Video Sports Talk, just a couple of weeks ago. He was so excited before he left for Qatar. And yes, Grant, this is for you. Okay, to the football. Argentina versus the Netherlands. A 4-5 pant chain game for Roger. I think he did change his pants quite a lot. After a nip and tuck, flung him on. Weghorst, fling! He flung him on. He only went and scored twice. The second, as disrespectful as one of those LVG slaps he used to land on Giggsy's back in the United days. We went into extra time, into penalties, and with Aston Villa's Emi Martinez in net, there is only one winner. He saved 2 of them. The Albi Celesti made 4 of their penalties again, and a nation's dream to canonize Saint Lionel marches on.
What a game. What a game. 16 yellow cards. It was as if Sergio Leone just made a spaghetti western of a football game. It was fucking carnage. I mean, Messi versus history. Argentina versus the brain of Louis van Gaal. And that longest time. And then explode out of nowhere into a fireball of kinetic majesty that explodes, and a bit like life itself, but life in which your nipples are set to perma-stun. Right? Isn't that why we watch, to have our nipples tingle? Because the game was insipid. It really was. Cagey. It was what a commentator who's paid to sell the game would say at halftime. I think, David, don't they say that it's like, they'd say that it's like cagey is what they say.
Cagey!
Yeah.
Just goes, cagey!
A cagey
45 minutes of cagey!
And it was a stalemate, honestly, of fearful football. And you felt like the Dutch plan. Ray Hudson's blood son. He doesn't like a lot of people to know that, but I'm breaking news. And he's not the Messi of world domination anymore. He's old. He's the Messi of moments. My wife texted me during the game, Vanessa, God bless her, and she said, I quote this, and I think she was talking about me. But she said, Lionel Messi looks like the guy at the party who doesn't want to be there.
Yeah, that's Rog.
Skulks around quietly in the shadows, and then all of a sudden gets up and belts out the best karaoke of the night. Bonnie Tyler holding out for a hero. And so it came to pass, in the 35th minute, Lionel Messi dispensed a pass which took out 6 players with the most no-looky pass that ever no-lookied. Let's take a no-looky. Oh.
Andres Cantor, you are a god.
Yeah.
He's moved because we've gone through the tournament, Andres is now modulating his pitch. So he's not just doing goal, he goes goal. And then rather like the throat singers of Tuva, Rog, he manages occasionally to get 2 tones out of his mouth at the same time. He's like, it's just brilliant work.
It's amazing. Sperm whales across the Pacific Ocean.
I know, they're gathering. They're gathering on the coast of Argentina to pay respect.
All of them want to fuck Andreas Cantor.
Yeah.
And they're like, what is that mating call?
Come on.
I'm ready.
That would be...
That Lionel Messi is going to continue to roll left, but to cut back across his body, find his man telepathically, Vulcan mind meld, it's a kind of sporting transcendence that only Messi or American Messi, Patrick Mahomes could conjure. And this was an amazing moment. The Netherlands had not trailed all tournament. Louis van Gaal on the sideline looked stunned. In Liverpool parlance, we say that he looked like he had slapped arse face. And Argentina doubled the score, 73rd minute. Acuna taken out by Dumfries. It was soft, but the narrative of Messi, his hero's journey, the fact that he took the penalty, scored it, made it feel unvarable. And after converting, Messi was hugged by the rest of his team. And I love a hug. I do. Honestly, the game was only just beginning.
Yeah.
A lot of football to come, David.
I mean, also, what made it interesting was who knew how much the Argentinians and Dutch loathed each other, which is just great. I mean, believe me, I'm not the biggest fan of the Dutch people, but I've never found them as objectionable as the Argentinians found them for the rest of the match, and it brought a level of Argentinian-Dutch spikiness into the game that was fascinating.
I think it's a geopolitical, long-standing feud that they've had. I mean, in Argentina, they just fucking hate Tiesto.
Yeah. Fair.
Which is...
Fair.
And it was like there was a spiky game, a lot of emotion, and we didn't know 2-0 up that all we'd done is just peak one mountain, and all we suddenly saw that all that was to come. Gakpo, the Dutch striker, was giving us an early glimpse of United Gakpo, the anonymous seasons, the minute that the first Glazer check clears. But in the 78th minute, Louis van Gaal unleashed Wout Weghorst.
Yeah, what an adjustment.
Well, it was kind of an adjustment. I mean, he just pointed to the 6'6", lumbering kind of Dutch Hodor on the end of his bench and said, you lanky bastard, get on there.
Erling Holland, as he was referred to by one of our Twitch commentators.
Yeah, Erling Holland.
Erling Holland.
I love it. I love a football pun. But this game, ultimately, as we all knew it would, didn't we, would turn into a dance-off between Lionel Messi, one of the greatest to ever play the game, and a 6'6" giant who's currently on loan at flicked header by De Wolf.
Yeah.
Which I think is Dutch for the huge bastard. From
Yeah.
12 yards.
It is.
But didn't it feel like a consolation goal in that moment? It didn't feel like anything more.
I mean, the Dutch had been so bad during the entire game that it did just feel like they'd pulled one back. But it's amazing what happens. A 2-0 lead, the most dangerous lead in football, Rog. Suddenly, getting back to 2-1, it's a World Cup quarter-final. The Argentinians, somewhat protective of St. Lionel of Messi, suddenly started to panic, started to look a little unsure. And Holland, the Nederlands, as Derek Ray would call them, started bringing it. They started bringing the game to the Argentinians, and the Argentinians didn't like it up them, Rog.
This World Cup is that we've had so many new fans of our game join us at Men in Blazers, and we got several Ravens into our email with fresh new fans who come to the game with fresh new eyes. And we've had a number of people ask, why are free kicks always just slammed over the bar, 20, 30 feet over the bar? Why do they not train with specialist coaches who design pick and rolls, trick plays,
Screens.
flea flickers, Statue of Liberty plays, fumble rooskies? And so, with genuine joy, with the game on the line, with seconds to play, the Dutch unleash this moment of immense.
The Dutch have scored. It was an incredible moment, Rog, to watch in this World Cup. A rehearsed set piece, practiced on a practice field. In that moment, I mean, every Dutch player, Louis van Gaal, would have been fired immediately had that not worked. Before the end of the game, before penalties, they would have been fired. But there you go. It worked, and it was a thing of beauty.
A play that was honestly Brad Stevens level crap. And Vu Weghorst, 6'6", you'd think like his hips pivot with the turning circle of that Suez blocking container, the Evergreen. But no, his hips are a jet ski, essentially. Milons maar niet voor mij, which is Dutch for call an ambulance, but not for me. I want you to know, again, I want to be completely clear to those who don't know me. I'm not Dutch. I'm also not Argentinian. But I was such a mess in that moment, Davo. And I was like, oh my God, the only person who could be loving this more than me is named Cristiano Ronaldo, who I imagined watching this game in the penthouse suite of his hotel room while drinking a bottle of Dracar Noir, wearing only a posing pouch, being oiled up by 12 eunuchs. Yes.
Yeah, on the bench.
But in the
Not on the field, on the bench.
Yeah.
But he'll be at the final.
Yep.
Not necessarily in it.
Get me my oiling eunuchs.
Yeah.
The shock of it was so supreme. I mean, even Atlanta Falcons fans must have been laughing at Argentina in this moment. And I was just surprised that the Dutch didn't just start sending on ever bigger men, like a random 7'2" window cleaner from Rotterdam. Or even more randomly, Rick Smits. Or like Dutch Yao Ming, you're in. But I was lost in this game. I no longer knew who I supported, what I cared about, what was a good outcome. I'd lost my emotional bearing. Remember, we're looking at Lionel Messi's legacy and Louis van Gaal's last dance. This is a Dutch coach battling prostate cancer. We'd all touched the heavens. We'd all stared into the abyss, and it went into penalties. And we've said before, David, on penalties, the cruelest creation in the history of...
It is no way to end a high-level match of sport, and yet it's bloody entertaining.
Honestly, I would say, if FIFA, I know you listen to this crap, there's two fairer ways to do it. Like penalties, football's a team game, a collective game. To reduce it to an individual psychological crucible seems just like it's only loosely connected to that which came before it. More connected than penalties would be if you just made the players play Russian roulette. Emi Martinez, 2 saves in the penalty shootout. By the way, that guy somehow thrives with the shithousery. He is at best a middling goalkeeper in normal football. Solid middle of the pack. But if penalties were an Olympic sport, dude is meddling. But it's possibly the only sick bastard when they hit the knockout rounds who from the opening whistle is like, go to penalties, come on, let's go. And 2 saves, he's truly incredible. A dude that roots for chaos and thrives in it. But in the end, it came down to Lautaro Martinez, the Bull, El Toro, who's been more than a calf in this tournament since he opted for that Johnny Weir haircut.
Yeah.
And we love Johnny Weir, one of the greatest guests this tour.
Yeah.
Johnny Weir would have... Look at him roar here. This is amazing.
This is the best.
Oh, look at this. This is the manager of Argentina. This is how he reacts. When you go, it's like an Irish goodbye.
Yeah. When you gotta go, you gotta go.
When you gotta go, you gotta go.
Gotta go.
I don't know. Sometimes you have a big gulp and you expect it to be 90 minutes, not 120 minutes. We've all been there. But Argentina won this game 3 times. They were 2-0 up. They lost that. They were 2-0 up in the penalty shootout. They lost that. And they won, but only just. The tone of the game was summed up in this photograph. Take Nick's Bulls 1993 level crap with Virgil van Dijk trying to play the role of a Dutch Charles Oakley. What do you make of this? Because this is unsavory, malicious, it's petty, and it gives a slight stink to the whole affair, David.
Don't understand why the Dutch guy's doing the plank in the middle of this whole thing. That seems like a very odd choice at that moment. But just, what's so funny about this is it's the Dutch. You know, that Michael Caine joke of like, you know, I've only agree on, one thing in life? What is the quote? And one of the things is like, I've never liked the Dutch. It's like, it's funny
I don't
because
like people who are intolerant of other people's cultures and the Dutch.
And the Dutch, right? What's funny about that is that...
Maybe Austin Powers too is really big in Argentina.
Is that no one has ever disliked the Dutch except the Argies. They can't stand the Dutch in this moment. And they've just qualified for the semi-finals of the World Cup. I think that's absolutely wonderful. Maybe they don't like Big Brother, The Voice, other Dutch imports. It could be Tiesto related. I don't know what it is, but just to have that strong a feeling about the Dutch, it must be something really specific and random.
I think those are the faces of human beings who are deeply lactose intolerant and have eaten one too many Edam cheese wheels in their lifetime.
They like cheese with more taste.
But perhaps. I felt for the Dutch. These human beings had given it their all. They'd come alive. They thought so bravely. Street fighting, hand-to-hand, fist-to-fist, shattered in defeat. And LVG, Louis van Gaal, I'm like, this is a gentleman facing his own death for real and constantly reminding us that football is life and should be savoured accordingly. And I just want to raise my glass to that human being tonight with great gratitude. As for Argentina, they live on. The pressure on them since they lost to Saudi Arabia in that first game feels like a year ago. But they've been under the microscope, you know, Canelo threatening Messi. Every game a must win, a whole different level of exertion and emotion. Little Messi is on this hero's journey. He's like a tiny tattooed Homer on an Odyssey. I don't know, David. Can it keep going or will exhaustion kick in at the end of it?
I mean, it does feel a little bit like it's written in the stars, and certainly the Argentinian team are behaving like it's written in the stars for Messi to be this World Cup. And let's face it, it is still possible for us to have a World Cup final of Messi versus Ronaldo, but Messi playing and scoring the winning goal while Ronaldo is watching from the bench. That would be the greatest thing in the history of everything.
On this game for one moment, conceivable, you know, I'm like the head of UFC, I'm giving him a title, Dana White, for those who don't know, had said earlier in the week, can't stand soccer. I think it's the least talented sport on earth. There's a reason 3-year-olds can play soccer. You can run around and kick a ball. And I say, watch this game, Dana. Watch this game because you can glimpse within it the entirety of humanity. To quote a GFOP on our Twitch chat, at Nina Kodria, who just at the end, she just texted us and said, my bra is soaked. I can't think of a better way to sum this up. And I also want to raise a glass to the Argentinian fans. My bra is always soaked. The Argentinian fans have an unofficial anthem for this tournament. It's called Muchachos, which is like, oh, boys, guys. It's like possibly the most Argentinian named song of all time. And it includes so many beautiful lines. I was born in Argentina, land of Diego, it's Maradona. Lionel, that's Messi. And Diego, from the sky, we can snap first penalty. Lionel Messi, this was his reaction in the penalty shootout, like an Argentinian Russell Crowe giving it the full, oh, you're not entertained. And I realized, I looked at that, and you saw his anxiety, you saw his release, you saw his freedom, and you also saw the silhouette of a million ill-advised tattoos on quads and biceps that will be going on across Buenos Aires tonight. And for Lionel Messi, I'll list this glass. Ray Hudson's beloved child. Destiny does not await Davo. It really looms. Godspeed to that human being tonight.
Amazing. A true global star of the game. Rog, earlier in the day, another bonkers game of football. The bananas of Brazil versus the pajamas of Croatia. 0-0. I love a bananas in pajamas reference for those who have enjoyed that program. It was 0-0 at the end. Croatians, I mean, they're all like 75 years old, Rog, but they have so much experience.
So they say.
I know, they're lying. They lie about their birth dates. They showed their mettle. They survived and advanced and survived and advanced. They do not know how to lose. Croatia go on into the World Cup semi-finals. Wow, wow, wow. Brazil are gone. Brazil are gone. Landon Donovan's World Cup bracket is ruined, Rog.
I know. Landon Donovan had Brazil against America in the final.
I know, he's done.
He's
lost all his money.
0 for 2, Lando.
Yeah.
I always loved about this that he just stayed committed to the fiction that the US were going to get into the final, which is hilarious. But I was like, you know what, lads, they're going to get beat by Brazil. I'm not crazy. I'm not crazy. This game, a clash of styles. Brazil, flamboyant, electric, ball juggling juggernaut. Croatia, resilient, experienced, disciplined, willing. I mean, they do the hard yards on the way to glory, this team. And they knew their opponents had all the momentum, all the hype, all the favoritism. You know, everyone was like, 6 trophy, they're going to win it. And the weight of that, they knew the other side of that is the pressure, suffocating. And, you know, Brazil unchanged after absolutely kneecapping and obliterating South Korea. They were slow starting.
All we talked about, Roger, in the last 16 was Brazil's dancing. It was just dancing, dancing, dancing. We barely talked about their football after the last 16. There was just like an assumption that they were going to just cruise past the old men of Croatia.
That was the... Croatia had courage, says Mr. Modric.
Yeah.
Just be like, the witch did it, the witch did it.
Yeah.
Oh, what?
Throw him in the river and see if he floats.
He's a witch. Joseph Jovanovic of Celtic caused all the problems on the flank. And I'm not a doctor, Davo. I've got no idea.
Nor is Dr. Joe.
No. By the way, Dr. Joe, if any of you, this is a bit of a deep cut for many of you, a football reference. I think Dr. Joe's first name is Doctor. I also love how whenever they ask him for a ruling, he's clearly just been woken up from a pool of his own saliva.
Yeah. Clear!
Yeah. But I'm not a doctor.
Yeah.
And I've no idea how Croatia recovered. They played 120 minutes against Japan. But to seize the initiative against Brazil, they were...
Which I thought was interesting. I was thinking maybe some form of injection. I don't know. Croatia, just like anybody who's played sport to any level...
I think it was cigarettes, light beer, and something in the Longhorn Styrian oxen blood that they inject into their down belows.
But sometimes you just come against a player, sometimes you come against a team who do not know how to lose. I'm not sure that Croatia know how to win, but they just loathe losing. They loathe losing so much that they find a way to not lose, and by doing so, manage to win.
It's essentially Tim Howard in Croatian.
Yeah.
And his team were resolute, Brazil ratcheted up to unbearable levels. I mean, you just got to think of this Brazilian team. They have trained so hard for this game on the complex dance YouTube video that they'd really worked on and that the world might never see. And Ian Dark goes, "Victory here will have to be quarried," a great line. And it came, into extra time, Croatia's 5th extra time. They love to bring their opponent down into the mire. Brazil started to look haunted. They knew that they'd exited at the 2018 World Cup at this stage. They'd gone out in this stage 3 of the last tournaments. Penalty looming must have felt like a death sentence. I mean, look at this guy. He came prepared. Then, in the 106th minute, Neymar did this. Just tell us to go. Go.
Wow.
Just incredible.
It's the way he shrugged. That's a Cantor impersonator.
Jesus, this moment, fusing capoeira and football, Dave, and ruthless clinicality.
Yeah, it's the way he shakes off the contact from the Croatian defender. It's just that strength he has, that lower body strength to shake off the contact and still make his little jig, make his little samba move right and finish.
To me, it's how he ignored it inside for Brazil. And it felt like you could hear the statues being smelted all over Brazil. This was a defining moment. But Croatia, there was as if the Undertaker meme had a bastard offspring with Glenn Close in Fatal Attraction. They will not die. And Brazil, I've got to say, they didn't exactly defend, did they? And credit Croatia, you like their pajamas. I think they wear their pajamas because they're like, F you, we can beat you just rolling out of bed in the morning.
Yeah, I love it.
We don't even have to get dressed for football to play you. Ultimately, I've got to ask you this. Did Brazil score too early in the 105th minute, David?
Yeah. It's weird. I mean, the scored too early hypothesis. I'm not sure that you can score too early in a World Cup quarterfinal. But there is the idea that you can score too early in extra time. And I think, weirdly, they did score too early in extra time. And then they just kind of, turned off.
Behold the latest game-tying goal in World Cup history.
Marquinhos gives you one of these. Marquinhos clearly anticipated that he was going to miss the final penalty to ruin the whole thing.
And he knew that he'd just been undone by a team of South Slavic Baker Mayfields. To penalties, there was only going to be one winner. Rodrigo looked so doomed on his way to the spot that I tweeted before he took the kick. The pressure on Brazil is humanly unbearable, and he proceeded to crap his pants. It went on until Miss Quinos, which is now his official name, hit the post, and farewell Brazil. I will say,
Brazil.
That pigeon dance by Coach Chi-Chi in the last game will haunt them forever.
Haunting.
He announced his departure at the final whistle. They never should have thrown that cat on the floor in that press conference. And Kaká told me before the World Cup that Brazil didn't know how their team would measure up against elite European in 1990, where England were nearly beaten by the African team that they didn't respect. He was asked if he underestimated them. I've said this many times, this story. He said, "We didn't underestimate them. We just didn't think they'd be that good."
Yeah.
And I think Brazil underestimated Croatia on this day, and Croatia were that good.
Well, like most of the world's media, they believed that Croatia were going to be too old, too leggy, too exhausted, have not enough creativity. Their dance moves weren't up to snuff with the Brazilians. They just didn't think they were going to be competitive. But Brazil, rather like Spain before them, Brazil did not press the advantage when they had the advantage in the game, and they just messed around instead of trying to create, goal-scoring opportunities.
And Croatia, just as in 2018, have won back-to-back penalty competitions to reach the semi-finals, 4 penalty shootout wins in 2 World Cups. Just a relentless mentality that I admire, but cannot even come close to even conceptualizing for myself. 3.9 million people, roughly the same size as Oklahoma. They just do not want to lose. It's an incredible way to approach life. Luka Modric, Ronaldo and Messi have grabbed all the oxygen in our era, but that man, 37, massive performances, massive games, We talk about wanting to grow American Messis and American Ronaldos. Oh, David, it's American Modric.
Yeah, give me a Modric. Give me a Modric. Okay, tomorrow, 2 more massive games. Morocco versus Portugal. Wow. And then England avenging their 1066 loss to France. We're going to break those down live on stage in San Francisco. But how are you feeling about tomorrow's games tonight, Roger?
Can we all just think about Cristiano Ronaldo tonight? Really, because honestly, his current predicament. Instead, he's got to humiliate himself by consigning himself to the bench, have the world watch him, watch his countrymen dazzle their way to glory, freed joyously by his absence. And I'll say this, David, Portugal will win tomorrow as long as Ronaldo does not play, which I'm not a theologian, but is that not proof that God does exist and that she has a wicked sense of humor?
Yeah. At least intelligent design, Roger. Speaking of, joining us now, one of the most decorated footballers playing the game, and her story starts not far from where we all sit right now. She is as Los Angeles as Billie Eilish, the Griffith Observatory, and Roscoe's Chicken and LAFC. And she's done it. And she's done it all while playing in 4 World Cups for her father's native New Zealand. Ladies and gentlemen, we welcome to the stage a bona fide hometown hero, one of your own, the captain of your Angels, the one and only Ali Riley. What a joy.
Okay, we're going far back.
The mean streets of the
listen,
Pacific Palisades.
Churchill's autobiography was 12 volumes. Ali Riley's is 15, so just dig in.
Yeah, bear with us.
And the mighty Harvard Westlake School in North Hollywood.
Whoa.
Oh my God, up the bloody Wolverines, right? Let's try that one again. That one went down really bad. I was like, I just said, an Everton football club.
No.
Guilty. You were 11 years old when the 99ers gave this country the iconic World Cup moment not far from here. Mm-hmm. You were there.
I was there.
What did that dream feel for you in that moment? When you watched that young Ali Riley, what did you even think was possible for you?
Very, very amazing, strong women doing what they loved, and I think it made me kind of dream big, but I didn't know that soccer would be my career or was my path, but I guess maybe somewhere it kind of planted a little seed.
Yeah, some kind of a seed. I was there that day as well.
It was very hot.
In Pasadena at the Rose
Yes.
Bowl. It was really hot. Some 2 decades after the 99ers, Ali, Los Angeles has given American soccer another reason to dream and another glimpse into the future. We're talking about Angel City FC. Where were you?
Woo!
Where were you when you first heard the rumblings of an NWSL team coming to Los Angeles, and what was your immediate reaction?
So I was playing for Orlando Pride, in exotic Orlando.
Orlando.
And especially being from Los Angeles, but I didn't know what it would actually feel like to play. I could never have imagined it until getting signed to the team and representing Angel City. And I always cry when I talk about Angel City. So
okay, good.
I don't want to. But yeah, that's how amazing the mission of the club is and was when I first heard about it, that I was excited to cheer on this team that I thought I would be playing against. You're not supposed to be, feeling that way about your opposition.
I mean, describe what it is, because it's been an incredible, from the outside, just an incredible inaugural season in the Bank of California Stadium. The team average, this is incredible, nearly 20,000 fans per home game. And that atmosphere just crackling alive during every moment senses. Can you describe emotionally, as a football player that grew up in this incredible city, to now play in the incredible city with these fans watching your every move and cheering for it? Can you describe what that feels like, Ali?
I can try. I guess that's why I probably cried after a lot of the games. I'm lucky I didn't cry, before the games, and I was able to focus on the soccer. But I think for me, part of it is relief, because I couldn't believe that in a city like Los Angeles, there wasn't a women's team here for so many years, and I never thought it was possible. And after the first game, a lot of people said, oh, this must have been a dream come true for you. But I didn't know I could even dream about having this team. And I think that's what's so powerful, is that now I look at our fans and our supporters and the young people at the game, and even if they don't dream of playing soccer, I think going to an Angel City game makes you just feel like anything is. And I think it even makes us more motivated, because we know that when we do well, the platform gets even bigger. And this is a club that donates 10% of sponsorship revenue to local organizations and was able to donate more than $1 million in our first season. And that's what motivates me. I still have my own on-field ambitions, of course. That's why I'm still playing. But I think I play my best soccer when I have a purpose larger than myself. And Angel City has absolutely done that. And being in a stadium at home games where inclusivity and diversity and equity are prioritized, you play your best.
Big tactical question.
Uh-oh.
What does a Jennifer Garner orange slice taste like?
Like heaven. This is a team that was valued at $100 million before we played our first regular season game. So this is an investment, and it's a good investment.
Yeah.
So I think Angel City is showing that women's sports are popular and profitable.
Beautiful.
And I will say it's been a joy from the outside to watch that ascend and ascend and ascend. And Angel City has become an instant bucket list football destination, I think, for everyone that cares about the growth of the game in this nation. But I do want to shift gears back to the World Cup for a second, the real World Cup. We are just 223 days away from the kickoff of the Women's World Cup in Australia and New Zealand. You, of course, are captain of the New Zealand women's national team. Your father, John, is a Kiwi. You opted to represent the mighty football Ferns on the international level, 144 caps for your country. Wow. You have led your hometown team out onto the football field here in Los Angeles, but this summer you will lead them out to kick off the tournament at Eden Park in Kingsland. You will hear God Defend New Zealand ring out at the stadium. What will be going on inside your mind in that moment?
Oh my gosh. Well, I think as we've been following the Men's World Cup, using their platform to make statements about things that are really important to us, and that makes me proud as well. But of course, it's an incredible honor to represent your country and to host a World Cup. You can't even say a once in a lifetime, because it's kind of out of your control if your country is able to make that bid and to win the bid. So I think, and to co-host it with Australia as well will be really powerful. And our nation needs support and investment, and I'm hoping we get more prize money from FIFA. That would help a lot too. But I think playing in a World Cup should be life-changing. And I think for us players, we feel that emotionally and with pride, but financially it definitely isn't. And there are a lot of countries that want to make progress and, again, give young girls a chance to dream. And I think this is an opportunity in New Zealand to do that.
Yeah. Yeah, and a chance to beat the Dutch, which is a very important thing in every World Cup. This World Cup, Ali, will be your fifth World Cup. That is just incredible. 5 bloody World Cups. You're joining a list that includes the likes of football legends Christine Lilly, Bridget Prince, Christy Rampone. If you could go back to that little girl who was chasing footballs around fields in the Pacific Palisades, let her know that she would play in 5 World Cups.
Keep pushing the game even further.
What would you tell her?
Gosh, don't get injured. And I think just be open to any opportunity, because at that time, watching the U.S. women win the 1999 World Cup, I actually dreamt of being Brianna Scurry. I really wanted to be a goalie, and I was the shortest. I'm still short, but
Yeah.
I think I was the shortest player on my
Like
team.
Jordan Pickford size.
I did play goalie for a couple years when I was like 6 and 7, but that was it for me. So I think just you don't know where your dreams can take you, and you have to be open to anything. And that's why, the league folded here. So I didn't know if I would even be able to keep playing. But then I was able to continue my career in Sweden and England and Germany and then find my way back home. So I think there's so many opportunities, but you have to be willing to take them.
Wow.
Ali, you are such a human inspiration. I want you to know, on my tour, the joy of my whole tour is to sit here with you. I've watched you from afar with
Do you
deep
say that
admiration.
every stop?
I do.
I knew it. I thought I had heard
I
it.
do.
I've been watching.
By the way, I've said it
Send
every
it to
time.
Johnny Weir. Yeah.
Well, no, I've said it every time I've sat down with Ali Riley, to be candid. I've watched you from afar with great joy. I love your story. I love everything you've done about taking chances, seizing chances, making chances. You do play football.
Ali Riley! Wonderful. Thank you. You did great.
God, she's genuinely unbelievable.
Yeah. Amazing. 5 World Cups. That is
The three of us here have played in 5 World Cups.
Exactly. Pretty impressive when you think about it. 5 World Cups
I know,
between us.
the three of us.
Pretty impressive. Okay, we're going to keep it SoCal with our next guest. Joining us now is a man with an incredible story of a grinding path, one that began in the depths of Division II college football in Colorado, has led him to become one of the NFL's most effective running backs. To borrow Jurgen Klopp's words, he is a mentality monster, a force of nature in the weight room. From your Los Angeles Chargers, Mr. Austin Ekeler. Love it.
What up? Oh, yeah,
Austin Ekeler, God, what a pleasure to be with you. I've got to tell you, I admire your story so much because it is
Onion Fields.
Yeah,
Yeah, they love Onion Fields.
Yeah.
home also to the Eton High School Fighting Reds. I mean, it was a small town life. You can honestly fit its population into the SoFi Stadium almost a dozen times over. And what I admire about you is you had dreams and ambitions that were beyond, and a work ethic you gained on your family's ranch. You worked in the gym, you hit the books hard. All came together at Western Colorado University, the Mountaineers. Your story is incredible, and I'd love to dig into it deeper. But at what point were you like, this, where I am now, is not the end of the story. I have what it takes, not just to get out of small town Eton, but to become a national star.
Yeah. Well, first off, thanks for having me here. This is awesome. This is epic in front of the live crowd. Yeah.
Thanks for having us.
Yes, absolutely. But man, I think what's special about me, and I've really had a lot of time to think and a lot of people asking me about my story, so I've really dug deep into what has made me me. I think that helped me is because I just focused on working on what I had at the time. And basically me doing that ended up giving me an opportunity to go forward and then continue to build on that. And then it's just been a domino effect ever since.
You know, they, a lot of times in sports, I was always told as a tennis player that you have to have that moment when the cat gets amongst the pigeons. You've got to sense your opportunity, and you sense that, and I clearly never took it. But after impressing with Western Colorado, you had a remarkable proper pigeon pro day performance. That was where you earned the opportunity to sign with the Chargers. Then of San Diego as an undrafted free agent in 2017. You were off to Southern California.
Yeah, so it's in the middle of the nowhere, but in the mountain version of that. And then coming to LA, at first I was so overwhelmed with just the people at first. Like, oh my God, there's so many people here. Like you said, so my town could fit in a SoFi over and over again. That's incredible to think of that. But coming out here, really started to grow on me after I made the team and after I started getting my feet underneath me. And I just started to understand how much opportunity that was out here that wasn't necessarily in my onion field, town in Eaton, Colorado. And it was growing on me. The people were growing on me where there was a lot of abundance of culture. I'm learning new things. I'm learning that there's new industry. Like, you can even do this. Like, this type of stuff does not exist in Eaton, Colorado. You can't do this.
They pay us for this crap, which is amazing.
Actually, this is who I am.
So I think the biggest culture shock, and being in California and then being in the NFL, one time there's a story. So my agent gets a call from Paramount Plus, and they're like, hey, we need somebody to come and fill this role for us because someone just dropped out of our spot. And I'm like what? They're like, my agent's like, no, you need to take this. Like, they're offering you this, and they're going to get you a helicopter. And I'm like, what are we doing out here? Like, we're just helicoptering people around. So like,
there are so many words there that you've never heard in your life before. Agent, Paramount Plus, helicopter.
So
I
just
love it.
being in this opportunity that I've had and continued to build has been pretty special. And I think what I've been focusing on in my career is just trying to add value in other ways than just.
We work with Paramount Plus, and Paramount Plus are here tonight. And I just want to say, we've never been offered the fucking helicopter.
We never had a helicopter. Where is the Paramount Plus helicopter?
Was there a real helicopter, or did they just go like...
No, we were up, no, I'd never been in a helicopter before, so that was a shock for me, yeah.
Wow, that's a real helicopter.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's a real one, yeah.
I'm gonna pretend to still be a nice guy on stage. Inside, I'm a raging. This city is a peculiar sports city, Austin. There's like a dozen different organizations in the NFL, the NBA, the MLB, the MLS, NWSL, WNBA, NHL. Most of which, most are deeply successful in their leagues, not ULA Galaxy, but... But it's still a city that's mainly... It's still a city that's... Andrew Shue's here tonight.
Yeah.
It's still a city that's mainly associated with Hollywood. And I wonder, how do you think Los Angeles is unique in the way that sports stars share the space with entertainment stars? Have you experienced that?
Yeah, it's been have open arms, everyone come on in, and we love you. That's not how it works up here. Maybe them, maybe someone, if you have me on your fantasy team, maybe. You got the fantasy side, But when it comes to an organization, right, like I was talking about, you got to add so much more value than just, having a presence. You have to be in the community. You got to be giving back. You got to make sure you're winning, right? It takes a long time to build yourself into the culture. And so, we're trying. That's why I said, with my foundation and everything, we're trying to give back, right? Because that's what it takes, right? Because it takes people to help people. And once you do that, you make that connection, and then that connection stays stronger than just coming to the games on Sunday.
Yeah, my brother once described Los Angeles to me as 17 suburbs in search of a city, which I thought was so correct. I think you yourself said, how do you prove to the fans you can bear the mantle of their culture that you belong in this city? That's really what you're saying.
Yeah, and it takes time and it takes commitment, right? It takes more than just, like I said, playing on Sunday. Like, how can I connect to you in a different way than football? Mm-hmm. And that's what I've been set out to do, like I said, with all the other things, my foundation, and then just giving back through that way. Because when you can help people help themselves, you add value to their lives, which they'll never forget, right? And then when you do that, you start to build a legacy.
I'm also looking at them, and I feel like I'm looking in a mirror. It's awesome. It's awesome. But I watch you play, and I watch a lot of football, and in football, you'll talk with players who feel that they don't get a bigger cheer than when they deliver a crunching tackle. My friend Tyler Adams, the US captain, he does the dirty work and he thrives on it. And when I watch you play, Austin, I see a gent who carries the ball, runs routes, blocks linebackers, capable of delivering the impact of a minor car crash. And I love that you're clapping, just minor car crash.
Yeah, hit him. Yeah.
Just a minor car crash. Still get to the party. It's just a flesh wound. But when did you start to feel like your effort was being noticed and celebrated by the fans in a way that it really is, Austin Ekeler? Because everybody adores you, and often what you do, the meat of the position for you, I mean, you score touchdowns, but it's almost everything apart from scoring touchdowns.
Yeah, and I think what you just talked about has really what has led me to do the things that I've been doing this far. Because when I came out here, I had all of this support coming from the Chargers organization, from the fan base that I didn't have, back at Western at my tiny school. And so when I felt that, I was really I was in shock, like, wow, these people care about me because I'm wearing a Charger on my chest, right? And so for me, I was like, okay, how can I connect with them? And so I started streaming, I started doing more community involvement, and I started getting out there, and then I started receiving more, feedback, more love, and so then it was just domino effect, like I was saying before. It just kept going, I kept building on it, and then I started a show. I was like, okay, there's so much value in engaging with fans and making that engagement genuine and not just like, hey, like me, like something on Instagram or something like that. And basically, I've been doing that for 5 years, and that community connection has, like I said, influenced me to start the foundation, start the shows, and then I'll just continue to do that as long as I'm out here.
Many people would say that is a distraction from playing professional sport. But how does it feed you and make you a better professional athlete?
Yeah, so I didn't even think about playing in the NFL when I was in college. I was thinking about going into my degree, using my business degree to continue to grow things. I wanted to grow things. I wanted to build things. And so when I got the opportunity to play football, it was just that. It was an opportunity. And so when I have these other opportunities, that same mindset stays with me. It's another opportunity for myself. And I want to continue to push just different opportunities in different directions. And so I would say it makes me a better football player while I'm doing all these things, because I'm increasing my value not only for the club, because I'm so committed to see how far I can go, but I'm also bringing more awareness by expanding myself within the organization and bringing more fans, right, and bringing more, I guess, authentic love for the community into the organization. So I would say it actually helps me.
People who really know you. I mean, the work you do with the Austin Ekeler Foundation for the underserved communities in LA is remarkable. I'd honestly like to do a podcast just on that in every regard. But I do admire you greatly. I've admired you for a long time. To me, you're a gent who has not had it handed to you at any stage of your career. You're now at the top of your game. You are beloved. You are admired. I mean, you are approaching the prime years in your sport. You've proved that there's no shortcuts in life, that you've made your own luck in the game with an intensity, a focus, and a tenacity, the greatest value in life, not just in sports. So I do want to ask you to leave us with some insight into your mind. What's the secret that has propelled you from the ranch to here? How have you kept pushing? Give us the life lesson that has kept the faith for you, knowing that it would all fall into place.
Yeah. Well, first off, thank you for all those kind words. And then what I tell people that ask me, that have asked me over the few years just about my story, is really, people are like, what has taken you and what has been consistent for you? And for me, it really wasn't thinking about what the results are going to be, because you might think of me being here and I have these things going on, but I built this stuff for years. It's taken years to build this stuff. But during the time, I wasn't thinking about the end goal. I want to have these things. I want to help all these people. I was just thinking about, what's my current opportunity? What do I have right now that I can take advantage of? And when I was doing that, it started to build, and then new opportunities presented themselves. So my biggest advice to all of you, and myself even today, is look at what I have right now as an opportunity and try to immerse myself and add as much value and get as much value out of that as I can, and then try to spread that into the people around me, because when you start to add value to not only yourself and people around you, opportunities will be immense. And guess what? When you do that, you get to choose what opportunities you want. Then you get to choose what you want to do with your life. And the more options you have, the more you're in control. And when you're in control, you get to write your own legacy.
Wow.
Austin Ekeler approaches life the opposite of me in every regard. Be like Austin Ekeler. Do not be like me. Davo, do the honors.
Yeah, I'm going to go and work my traps heavily. Los Angeles, let's hear it for Austin Ekeler.
great, incredible human being.
Appreciate it. Loved it. Thank you.
Austin Ekeler, holy crap, honestly, I am a better man just by touching that human being.
Smells good too.
Top 10
Smells
of the
wonderful.
tour. Top 10
Smells
of the tour.
wonderful. Okay, joining us on stage now, Rog. I'll take another one of these, please, John. Is one of the funniest men in it's water. It's water. One of the funniest men in Hollywood, a comedy legend with the dulcet tones of a gravel-voiced angel. He has given us indelible characters like Joe Bluth, Strantz Van Waldenberg, BoJack Horseman, Lego Batman, Toronto's finest, a Maple Leafs lover who has become proper football. Just returned from a group stage-long sojourn in Qatar, and here to tell us all about it and his magnificent podcast, Back of the Net, on AMP. Remember, there's always money in the banana stand. It's the one and only Will Arnett.
Nice to meet you. Will Arnett, you beautiful human being.
It's that guy.
That motherfucker.
Yeah.
Come here.
That's you. Oh, what a great entry song.
Amazing.
It's Will fucking Arnett.
Look at him.
Jesus. I love looking at photos of myself from 10 years ago and hoping that people don't notice.
You look younger now, Will.
Oh, sorry, I feel like I'm interrupting you. Keep going.
No. I got to say, it is so bloody good to see you. You, child of Toronto, Maple Leafs fan since birth. Football, comparatively new obsession for you, would you say?
Yeah. You know, it's funny. I've noticed how much more I kind of look for football scores than I do hockey almost now. It's crazy. It's kind of overtaken. Gosh, I hope this show doesn't play in Canada, does it?
Austin
No,
Matthews
the internet
listens to
is
the
just
show.
restricted.
Yeah, because I'm not
it's
familiar
so good
with
at
it.
geo-restriction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know what that means, but it sounds like it's right.
Why is that? Because I know your writing partner turned you onto the game about 8 years ago. You fell hard, you fell fast. You fell for Liverpool Football Club. I'm going to say,
You're a red.
you're a Leafs fan, right? And you're a Jets fan.
There's a few of us out there, but there's another famous Canadian who's also a Toronto Maple Leafs fan and a Liverpool fan. That's Mr. Michael Myers.
Well,
Yeah, not the axe murderer.
He's worse than the
Although he
ex-murderer.
might be, I don't know.
he could be.
Prove that he's not.
Yeah.
But I've got to say, if you support the Leafs...
Wait,
and
one
the
of you guys is an Everton fan.
I was going to say, if you support the Leafs and your Jets, you are arguably more an Everton fan. But what drew you to the red shite? It's an objective question.
Wait, how did I become a Liverpool fan? I love it. I don't know. I almost, just to be a total dick, I almost came in full Liverpool kit.
Full kit wanker. I love a full kit wanker. I love it.
Full kit wanker.
Yeah.
And even I knew that was too much. And
Yeah.
I don't usually have very good judgment, but
Yeah.
so my writing partner, a gentleman by the name of Mark Chappell, who's an Englishman, who's from the West Country, so we call him R Mark.
Arr.
R Mark.
Arr.
He's been a lifelong Liverpool supporter. So I got into watching soccer/football, I would say, like really in earnest about 10 years ago. And we would be working on stuff, and he'd say, we have to take a break to watch Champions League. And I was like, oh, God, what? And what happened was, and I think this happens maybe to a lot of people who come into it later in the game, once he started explaining to me various aspects of the game, not rules, but this guy came from here, this guy used to manage here, and now he's here. Once you start to get into the personalities and the stories,
The narrative.
the narrative, if you will, but I don't say narrative because people throw that word around too much now as if they've just learned it.
Yeah. I just learned
You
it before
haven't.
the show.
I know
no,
you
I
haven't.
just learned it before the
No,
show. I
you
just
haven't.
learned
You
it.
have an English accent. You haven't just learned it, but most of these people
Okay.
have. And what happens is you start getting, and it's much the same way with Formula One. When people started watching Drive to Survive, we all became experts at Formula One.
Yeah.
We're like, I can't believe that Lando Norris took over George Russell on that last turn.
Yeah, I mean, the
Like, shut
apex
the fuck up.
angle.
You don't know what
The
you're saying.
apex angle
Yeah,
was.
and by the way,
totally
that
right.
asshole is me.
Yeah.
Right? So that's how I came into it. And so I had a guide. I had somebody who was teaching me the ways of soccer every week, and we started getting more and more into it. And I started going like, shouldn't we take a break? Aren't Liverpool playing Real Madrid this afternoon? And I just got so fucking into it.
What was it though? I mean, it's 4:30 a.m. kickoffs.
Yeah.
I'm going to be honest, I didn't truly appreciate the dedication of West Coast Premier League fans till this World Cup when I was up at 4 a.m. for the group stage. Pre-dawn football. I mean, it's pain and pleasure, the experience that you live. What is it about it that you're like, fuck, I want this in my life?
Well, here's the other thing. I have 3 kids, and so you have to find your moments where you can, that you can just, where it's quiet. So often Saturday or Sunday mornings at 4:30, nobody's up, and I can go down to the basement
It's the best.
and shut the door with a hot cup of coffee and watch, Liverpool really make me nervous when they're playing Fulham, and I'm like, Jesus. No offense, I love Fulham, and two of my best buddies are huge. They have a Fulham podcast, so
It's niche.
it's very niche. It's very
niche. This World Cup, you actually traveled to Qatar.
I did.
For the group stage.
Yeah.
We've been watching Qatar.
By the way, group stage sounds so funny out of context.
It's dirty almost.
You guys up for group stage?
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Well, we've been watching it from afar. All the good, the bad, the Mr. Q. I don't know if you've seen Mr. Q. Wonderful. Real star of the Fox broadcast. But you were actually there in Qatar, driving frantically around the desert to get back to the hotel in time to go live on amateur tape.
Yes.
Back of the net with Sam Mewis every night. Tell us, how did you experience the tournament live and in person? What is it actually like over there?
God. Use good judgment here. Words live forever, and they will punish you with your own words. It was great.
Okay. Wow.
I kept saying when I was over there, I was like convinced that every room was bugged. And so people are like, how's it going? I'm like, it's going great. I just don't want my hands cut off,
Yes. That's a downer.
That'd be a bummer for me.
The worst.
So, you know what? It was great. It was exciting. It was an experience. It was very weird. It was very surreal. A lot of people were very, very nice, but it was bizarre.
What was the surrealist thing?
And by the way, bizarre with an I.
Not an A.
No,
I got you.
there was that
got
as
you.
well.
Okay. There was an actual bazaar.
Fucking keep up, everybody.
I love it.
Jesus.
I love it.
What was the surrealist thing?
It was very, because it was just like, well, first of all, just when you get there, I mean, I'd never been to that part of the world before. I'd just come from F1 in Abu Dhabi, so that was my first sort of indoctrination into that world. And it was a lot of like, give me a break. And yeah. And it was a lot of, I'm just kidding, I love you. It was a lot of, just skyscrapers coming out of nowhere, and there was just, and it just felt very bizarre, and so it took a moment to kind of get used to. But I will say, going to the Lusail, I was there for that great Argentina-Mexico match.
Wow.
And that was overwhelming. I think it was the first time in my life, quite truly, I'm not exaggerating, where I had, I think, a version of a panic attack, because there were so many people. It was so fucking loud, and it was so overwhelming. And I'm not susceptible in that way. I'm a super tough guy.
Yeah.
I'll fight anybody right now.
Yeah.
Except for Austin Ekeler, obviously. By the way,
Riley.
please don't ask me to say anything inspiring. I can't. I don't have that gear.
Okay.
I don't have that gear.
I will cut that question
But
right now.
We're going to ask you about all the good work you've done for the
Qatar-
Austin Ekeler Foundation.
It was, but anyway, it was a lot. It was a lot of people, and the Argentine fans were far outnumbered every other place, which was quite surprising. I didn't expect that, and I don't know. It was very cool. I went to. Each experience was different. The England USA game was great, but much more subdued. Everybody was nervous. I felt like the England fans were nervous. They're basically like, let's not blow this again.
Yeah, that's every game for England fans.
No,
by
I
the
know.
way.
And I'm originally Canadian, but I haven't really followed Canada soccer, so I wanted them to do well, and I went to Canada, Belgium, and they got pretty close. I feel like for them the score should have been different, the outcome, and I obviously want the U.S. to do well, and I'm supporting. But because I watch so much Premier League, and all the players I watch play in the Premier League, a lot of them are English. I can say this openly. I'm a Three Lions fan.
Oh, thank you.
I am. I know.
Dark side.
Cool it. And it doesn't matter what I do, but anyway, I love Three Lions. I have to say it. You're outraged by this.
No, I now realize why FIFA are increasing the number of teams in the next World Cup, just so that there's some teams that you're not supporting.
I know.
In the tournament.
That's true.
You're like the guy who goes to the
48-team World Cup.
That's
Will's
fair enough.
covering 45 of
I
them.
know,
That's fair enough.
Will's like the guy that goes
You're
up to the
allowed
blackjack
to.
table and just like covers every
Well,
number.
you know what? I had an argument with somebody.
Off and guitar.
This is going to be very unpopular, so it's obviously why I should bring it up. Is that it occurred to me it's kind of absurd to root for a country. You should be rooting for players. It's kind of dumb. So you're like, no, but why you're like, I'm rooting for, let's say, USA. Well, why? Just because you're from the USA. Do you have any connection to the team at all? Unless you actually follow the team and the players, it's a little bit absurd. I know that this kind of on a different level, but maybe I can say stuff as deep as Austin Ekeler.
I don't know. We grew up in Europe.
But I want you to question
1848.
yourself on your drive home.
Yeah.
When you're on the 10 and the music's playing, you're just like, why do I support my
nations
team?
are just a construct.
Yeah.
There is no...
Well, it's just jingoism, isn't it?
Yeah.
I don't understand that. I mean, we grew up in Europe where in 1848 nation states melded and became nations. And so, we have a very proto sense of nationalism as we approach football. Ultimately, why are you even supporting players? Why do you stop there? Why are you not just cheering on individual cells?
Yeah. Energy.
Yeah, energy. Yay, energy.
Well,
Don't cut my hands off. Energy.
Love energy.
Listen, after Netherlands, Argentina, I just support refs now.
Yeah. 16 yellow cards. He had a good game.
I know. He was like, hey, did you guys check me out today?
Yeah, he's like, I'm on camera. I'm on camera.
He's brushing his teeth. And he's like, I fucking drilled it today. I made a mark.
I know.
That game.
Wow. Who knew the Argentinians and the Dutch loathed each other that much?
That was some sick shit. As a hockey fan, I was like, fucking let's get a tilt going right now. I wanted to see Big Verge, just get it and really, those Argentinian players needed to get tuned up.
Yeah. It's true.
If,
By the way,
that was Canada, we would have fucking tuned them up.
By the way, I agree with you. Big Verge is apparently Dutch for Rob Ray.
For what?
For Rob Ray.
Oh, for Rob Ray.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a deep cut.
Well, I don't know what to tell you.
Welcome. Meet Roger.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I don't think your audience knows that.
Well, Rob Ray, they speak Dutch. They know what the fuck it means. But I do want to get back to Canada for you. I want to get you back onto the nationalist tilt because it's very important. I really support the work
I love Canada.
that the Freedom Convoys did this summer, and I want to support them. But can we get your take on John Herdman's ill-advised F Croatia and the subsequent phone hack that led the world to know that your coach has a Maple Leaf Willy warmer?
Yeah.
There it is. John Herdman,
Oh, yeah.
is that his I've made a huge mistake moment?
Yeah. Wow. You backed that whole thing in just to do the huge mistake. How dare you?
No, I'm genuinely fascinated by his nipples.
I'm sad for you.
And his general
by the way,
sense.
we all know anybody who's been involved in sport, and by involved in sport, I mean that includes people who watch it, know that the dumbest thing you can do is give the other team a reason to rally.
Yeah.
And it's just absolutely ridiculous. I think that he must have I'd like to think that the moment that he said it, he was like, fuck, what am I doing?
Yeah.
But he does get this forever. And it's pretty funny to frame it and to have it at your home, right?
Like huge.
I mean-
like massive.
Yeah.
I think he already had that in his home.
By the way, for here, we don't need to blot out those words. You know what I mean? They could just print it. We don't need the 2 stars. You just throw a couple more consonants next to each other and we're fine.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
By the way,
I don't even think that's his body. That's what I'm really most enraged about.
This team, though, the Canadian team,
Yeah, let's get into it.
presented such a joyful, diverse face of the new Canada. This week, news broke that there's going to be a women's league launching up in Canada soon. The Men's World Cup. The Men's World Cup will be partially hosted in Canada in 2026. What
Yeah.
does it feel like to see Canada become such a football-loving nation?
Well, you know what? Actually, Canada has a lot of soccer fans, a lot. And we have, there are a lot of, I think before MLS, we obviously we have a lot of people who come from all over the world, and we, as you guys are well aware, and everybody here knows, soccer is huge in everywhere else but here. For now, it is growing, and you do feel it. I know that that's a refrain that's been kind of tossed around for years, but I actually think that it's actually true, and maybe it's just because I'm a fan, so I'm like, yeah, well, if I'm a fan, that means everybody is. God, my ego is insane. It's so unchecked. But anyway, I think that there have always been a lot of fans there, and I think that now, you see those. This is anecdotal, and by the way, it's not scientific, but those, which is perfect for this show, right?
Yeah, exactly. We don't do a lot of science.
Yeah, you guys kick scientists out.
Yeah, exactly. We don't have a lot of them.
Those Toronto FC games, they get a lot of fans. They pack that place. By the way, we were talking about that. They're going to have to host a game there, at least 1 or 2 for the World Cup. It only seats like 28,000 people, and they're going to add 17,000 seats for that. I was just talking to Steve backstage. Where are they going to put them, on the field? It's going to be kind of crazy. But anyway, people are excited for soccer in Canada, and the team has, I don't know where I'm going with this.
Yeah.
Maybe you guys want a song.
Yeah.
We'd love real estate problems, but you, like us, have been broadcasting this whole tournament. You've been doing a daily live show on AMP, back of the net, with Marshawn Lynch and our friend Sam Mewis.
Yeah.
Talking about football day in, day out with actual pros like Sam.
Yeah.
How's that giving you a different perspective on the game than just consuming it as a real fan?
Well, it's been great because you can ask in real time. We'll do a wrap-up show, and I can sort of say to Sam, what's it like if you're out there and this happens? If you get subbed out, how do you feel about this? And you can get somebody who actually knows what it's like, and not just knows what it's like, but is a legitimate winner in the best sense of the word. It's just cool. Yeah. And so having that, first of all, gives me a little bit of legitimacy because I'm just a hack, and I am just a fan. Marshawn doesn't watch any of it, so he just gets the info from me. I'm like, Marshawn, you should have seen earlier. Marshawn, the greatest thing, Marshawn Lynch is the greatest guy. I love Marshawn Lynch so much, and we were like 8 days into doing the show. And Sam says, should the 3 of us buy, like Mac Laney and Ryan Reynolds, should we buy a team? And I go, absolutely. And Marshawn goes, oh, shit. I forgot to tell you guys, I'm part owner of a team. I go, Marshawn, we've been doing this show every day for 8 days. How the fuck are you telling us this now? And he goes, oh, yeah, this is the sweatshirt for it.
And it's Manchester United.
By the way, they could use them.
I know.
Yeah.
They could use
He's the
Marshawn
Glazer
Lynch.
brother they never had.
He'd be so good.
Okay, talking of England,
Yeah.
England versus France tomorrow. There's a little bit of history
Yeah.
between those two nations, even though nations are a constructed.
I know. As you know, I reject the
But,
idea. Right.
A lot of players that we've heard of.
Sure.
Some players who play in the Premier League.
Sure.
What is your prediction for tomorrow's game?
I made the prediction today, so I'm going to have to stick by it. I think it's going to be England 2, France 1.
Whoa.
And it depends who our guy, who our buddy, our bro, GS, Gareth Southgate, decides to put out first. Do you guys call him GS
Yeah,
on the show?
a lot.
You should. If you don't, you should. Because it's just kind of quicker.
We call him 1G.
1G.
Yeah.
It just really depends. It'll be interesting to see who he puts out tomorrow. I think, obviously, playing Phil Foden turned out to be a really good idea.
Yeah.
And I think that if we can, I say we,
Yeah, we.
the three of us.
Yeah.
Not me.
Yeah.
By the way, I don't even want to say the royal we because gives like a whole other.
Yeah, a whole different thing.
By the way, in the stands at USA, watching people sing in person, "God Save the King," that was weird. Right, for the first time, I hadn't been there. Yeah, in person.
Was there any royalty
Rog
there?
just none of it. Doesn't care.
Yeah. Well, Rog is fully American at this point.
I know.
So he's...
I moved here to get the fuck away from the Queen. I did. No, I did. Honestly, the one true Queen to me is Tracy Chapman. I do want to tell you, Will Arnett, the lasting impression you've left on me is that I do understand when Dana White's like, football, it's like crap because 3-year-olds can play. But you coming on stage and deconstructing nationalism to me,
Yeah.
it's like made my brain meld
Yeah.
and melt in every way. And I'm like, you kind of got a point.
But
mate.
it's an interesting idea, right? Because at a certain level, like then we're putting ourselves we're now guilty of doing the shit that we hate in other people.
Yes, but when Earth playing the Intergalactic World Cup against other planets...
I was going to say, are we allowed to say yay Earth against Mars?
Yes. Where does this go? How far do we take this, Will?
We can take it as far as we're willing to let our imaginations go.
Okay. To boldly go.
Yeah, to boldly go where no man goes. But anyway, I don't know. England 2, France 1. I don't know how we stop Mbappe.
Have you heard of Kyle Walker?
Yeah.
Well, that's what I was saying. Yeah, so Kyle Walker.
I've got to say, if you tell Kyle Walker that Mbappe is a sex party,
He will be attending closely.
he will be.
Wow.
He will be attending closely.
I got this.
I got this.
GS.
Sex party. Now we're in my
Okay.
area.
Well, last. By the way, this is tactics. It's how tactics work, guys.
Yeah. Phil Foden's like, I look like a cat. That's so good.
Last question for you. We are in LA. We've got to talk a little business before you go. 2 years ago, you were in an incredible show called The First Team on BBC Two. Please don't clap and pretend you're like pro BBC Two because that would be like you clapping a minor car crash. It really upset my soul. But it was an incredible show. Do watch it. It's about a young, unqualified American footballer who moves to a Premier League club, teaches him the power of American optimism that Nat once taught me in the Peach Pit back in the day. It aired in the summer of 2020. People won't remember it because it was another show about a young, underqualified American football coach moved to a Premier League club, taught the American optimism. It rhymes with Schmed Lasso, and it aired a month later. It's like the Friends with benefits to your No Strings Attached, the Shark Tale to your Finding Nemo. Here's my question. You're also starring in a Taika Waititi soccer movie, an incredible film that's coming out next year. Are we officially in the golden age of soccer in Hollywood?
Yes. Next question. I love that you talk about it, First Team. You never saw it. Nobody saw it. I haven't seen it. That's a true story.
The commissioner of BBC Two might not have seen it.
And it was a good idea. So my friends Ian Morris and David Beasley, two Englishmen, Yeah, good guys. Do you know those guys at all? Yeah, you do. Did you lose the power of speech? What happened? You,
Yeah.
No,
you're
I'm
just
sorry.
nodding.
Never lost
I
the
thought
power
there was
of
a
speech.
podcast.
No, you're
Do
right.
nods work on this show?
Yeah.
Raj, stick with me, man. So Ian, who's a QPR supporter,
Queen's Park Raisins.
yeah, and Damon, who I'm quite sure is a Gunners supporter. Anyway, believe me, I'm with you. But so that's why I did that show. Those guys, I love the In-Betweeners. I love everything they do, and so they asked me to come and do it, and I said yes. And then through that, Ian wrote Next Goal Wins with Taika, which is how I got into it. So I don't know. I found a little niche of English dudes who write about soccer, but do I think that it's time that we blow it up here and do something? Yeah, obviously people love Ted Lasso. I think not for the soccer. I think they love it for the mustache.
Yeah.
And okay.
Yes.
And is that from the show?
Yeah, maybe. But what is Hollywood if it's not a niche of English dudes?
That's
when
true.
It comes down to
That's
it?
true.
Well,
No, my experience with Hollywood, you can always tell the English dude is the guy in blue jeans and brown leather shoes.
yeah, that's a good
That's
English look.
It's an English look.
You wanted another question. Here's the big one. Who's going to play Alexi Lalas in the Alexi Lalas biopic?
That is a really good question.
Yeah, I know.
I'm
And
just-
part of you is tempted, right? Being like,
Well,
am I
I'm
fucking
just-
Carrot Top?
I'm just doing. Yeah, I know. I'm just going through all the gingers I know.
Stoltz.
By the way, that'd be a good show. The gingers I know.
Yeah. Have you ever played a ginger? Well,
I've never. You know what? My 12-year-old son is a ginger, so I don't want to go too hard. Yeah.
Maybe one day he'll become the president
Maybe
of
he
FIFA.
could do it.
yes, I know.
And I
Develop it now.
Yeah.
Who
And
would
in
it- who would
9
it-
years' time.
In all seriousness, who would it be? Stoltz?
Oh, Stoltz.
Can we get Stoltz for this?
Damien Lewis, maybe.
Role of a lifetime.
Oh,
for
yeah.
Lewis.
Carrot Top.
Yeah, Damian Lewis. He likes playing Americans.
Yeah.
Josh Sargent.
Josh.
Josh
who?
Sargent's too good at football to play Alexi Lalas, buddy.
You know, what about the other? No, the guy from Queens of the Stone Age, Josh. What's that guy's name? He could do it,
I love that idea.
right?
Yeah.
What
But he's-
about Meryl Streep?
Oh,
She can do
by the
it.
way, I would love that. If you could make that happen.
Meryl Streep in the Alexi Lalas biopic. Stranger things have happened in Hollywood, let's face it.
Kathy Griffin.
As Alexi Lalas, that would be his worst nightmare. That's so good.
Can I just say, it's amazing to have Kathy Griffin's agent in the crowd tonight. And we will make that happen.
Ladies and gentlemen, please be upstanding for one of the funniest men in Hollywood, one of the
Is he
funniest
here?
people to ever be in this podcast, the one and only Will Arnett.
Thank you. Thank you.
Oh. Nations are just a construction, Rog.
I know, Will Arnett's really fucked
Really,
with my
that's
head
put
tonight.
that's put the World Cup into perspective.
I'm not quite sure what the fuck we're cheering anymore, David.
Yeah, exactly.
Now that the
The
United States are out.
constructed cup.
I
or
do like the
whatever
what
it is.
he's done. Now the United States are out. I'm like, what the fuck is the point in this thing anymore?
Okay, our final guest was once known as the mayor of Hanover, but now after winning the MLS Cup, he's the mayor of all of soccer. It's a joy, an honor to welcome to the stage a hero of ours. He's tenacious, loyal, dependable, a quiet leader and steady ship, a surfer, a foot golfer, a product of the San Diego punk scene, a lock at right back for both the United States men's national team and Hanover 96 for as long back as anyone can remember, till his retirement as a player in 2014. Seriously, I think he first started playing when we both had hair, Roger. It is a joy to welcome to the stage the manager of your MLS champion LAFC, Steve Cherundolo. Fucking good, Steve.
Oh my God. Jesus fucking Christ. When you look at that photo of Steve Cherundolo, does he not look like Jeremy Strong from Succession, who's found something happy to do in his life? You found yourself. Steve Cherundolo, it is such a joy to sit with you. I've got to tell you, when we started Men in Blazers, the 2010 World Cup, first joke we ever flogged to death was that you Cherund up the field and you doloed on the way back. You were our hero to such an extent that when I first started to cover football as a vaguely serious journalist, I use that term loosely, you were the first player that I asked to interview, and I just reread the article yesterday, and the last thing you said to me was this, and I love it so much. You said, I can honestly say I've tried to savor each training session and every game with total joy. There we are, look at that. I cut the top off to make it seem like I maybe still had hair. But I want to know, that was you as a player. Do you still feel the same about management?
I truly do. It's one of the best jobs in the world. It's my personal philosophy of coaching as well. It took a long time to write, to figure it out. But if I can achieve 3 things on a daily basis, make the players learn, sweat, and laugh, I'm doing something right. And I think this thing proves that. So
Yeah, I love it.
I say, almost the same philosophy me as a fan, which is sweat, covered in beer, covered in my own urine. Very, very similar philosophies, you and me, Steve. But one quick question.
him.
I got it.
Oh, my, you can't put that on the floor.
Sure, yeah, it's better.
I may
We can
bend
do that.
over, you can put it on my back, I'll be a human table. I hope Don Garber's not watching, but this incredible footballing culture, which we're going to talk about in LA in a minute, I do need to ask you one quick question about the United States men. This campaign just over in the World Cup, it was very similar to your own in 2010. True joy against Algeria, an incredible third game must-win victory, then exhausted minds, exhausted legs in the round of 16. Yours against Ghana, this year the Netherlands. And we are so proud of this team, the Baby Eagles, who marched straight out of the group stage, faced up to Van Gaal's Dutch. But how do we get to the point where we stop being pleased with a round of 16 exit? What will it take so that when we lose at the first knockout hurdle, we're heartbroken instead of proud in defeat?
I don't think we're far off. And I truly believe this generation of players will get us there. I think hosting the World Cup in 4 years' time on our soil, anything less than a quarterfinal will be disappointing. And I think we have the players to do it as well. Sure, there are some positions where we need improving on, but for the most part, the core of the group will stay together. And I do like our chances of making that quarterfinal.
Love it. So, looking at this trophy before us, Steve, I want to take you back to the 124th minute of the MLS Cup final. As though those extra time games today had anything on the MLS Cup final. You'd fought to a 2-2 draw in regulation time, including trading back-to-back goals with Philly in the last 10 minutes to force extra time. Then your goalkeeper, Maxime Crepeau, was sent off. You were reduced to 10 men. I can't imagine your mind on the sideline. And 4 minutes into stoppage time, in the second and final half of extra time, the Unions score. You're a man down, a goal down, 124th minute. Give us a peek behind the curtain. What is going through your mind at this point? What emotions are tingling through your body? Give us a nipple status check. Is there a shred of hope left?
I tell you, it was the only time all season long where I actually looked at my Apple Watch and checked my pulse. And I'm a very calm person normally. And I was a little out of my comfort zone, okay. if I will. I will admit that. But we coaches, we go through these situations day in and day out, and we talk about 9-1-1 situations. What happens if we go to man down? Who are the subs coming in? What happens if they change things up? What are we going to do? I write it all on paper. I can prove it, I promise you. And I did not have this situation thought out. So it was a little bit of ad-libbing, if you will, as a coach. But we knew Gareth is a man for big moments, and he needed to be on the field in those moments. Unfortunately, from Holloway to take off due to the Max Crepeau red card. But we got all of our big guys on the field, and it ended up being the right move.
In the 128th minute, Gareth Bale did this.
Wow.
That's right.
Steve, this almost looked like a drawn-up play. What went through your mind as you lived this moment?
Yeah. Cheeky has been improving this year with his crossing. And I'd like to think as an ex-outside back, I have a piece in that. But
the beatings in training worked,
yes,
I
yes.
think.
No, this is the quality of the players. This is their moment. This is where coaches take a step back. I had nothing to do with this. This is all the players, and this is why they play the game. This is it.
Wow.
Spoiler alert, LAFC went on to win the game on penalties.
Yeah, we're sorry.
And Gareth Bale once famously waved a flag that said Wales, golf, Real Madrid in that order. And you're also a huge golf fan, and I want to get you a shirt that says surfing, golf, winning MLS Cup in my first season as coach. And you won this at home in MLS Haven, that is the Bank of California Stadium.
It's very vertical. Yeah. It's very vertical.
I was there today for the first time, and it is one of the most delirious bear pits in all of American football. I wonder, can you put it into words, when you walk out, you take your place on the sideline, can you describe the emotions that you experience?
For me, the first time I experienced it, was the closest thing I had seen to a European environment at an evening game in Europe. It's a little crisp. The grass is wet. Both teams and fan groups are gearing. It's contagious. It's electrifying. It's passionate. All that in the middle of downtown LA. It's really amazing. Credit to all of you who take part in that every week. And I've said, if I had that growing up, if that was what I was watching week in and week out, there's no chance I'm moving to Europe, because everything I need is right here in LA or in Southern California. We've made huge strides, and I think LA and the Bank is a great example for every stadium in our country.
I've been watching soccer here in Los Angeles since the early 1990s at the Coliseum, at the Rose Bowl, the early days of Major League Soccer. But obviously, Los Angeles is evolving as a soccer city. What have you learned over the last year about the passion, which is so evidently at the heart of this incredible multicultural soccer home that is Los Angeles?
I think with passion comes very closely behind expectations.
Yeah.
And I felt that the first week after I got the job.
Yeah. Well, you better win it next year as well. That's all I'm saying.
Well, we have four competitions, so we'll try to get one of them. And I'm ecstatic for this club, because from day one, this club was built to win, and the expectations are there for good reason, and the passion is there for good reason, because what everybody involved in this club has done has been amazing, and they've done everything right, and this was the missing piece. And cool. I'm glad I could help, but people who were here before me, Bob included, have a piece of that as well. So everybody involved has their piece of that and should be proud of it.
Steve Cherundolo, I've got to tell you, I've rarely met a more humble, modest man in football. And as you develop, hopefully your ego and your unbearable arrogance will also develop alongside you.
Unbearable.
But anyone who saw you play know that you were just a light, a joy. You played with heart, fearlessness, and it's led you to this glorious present. I watch you and I marvel at you. We loved you from the very beginning. You are living your manifestation as a manager as you were as a player. But cast your mind 10 years into the future. The current trajectory of this club, this incredible city. Besides the silverware you will have stuffed in the attic, the garage, the woodshed, what's football going to be like here in a decade's time? What will soccer in this diverse, eclectic, deeply rich, meaningful city look like? And what will it change about LAFC as it evolves? What is possible here, Steve?
Well, I think there are some great examples overseas of what's possible. What's possible is to build a dynasty, to build a club that's professional, to build an example for the next generation, to build a winning club to where fans, well, they already do now, expect nothing less than championships, but to actually have our own youth players grow up in the system and then take part in a championship. I think that is the next step for this club. Yeah. And to create a professionalism around the organization to where, whether it's my name or the next guy, everything is set in place. The tools are all there to win a championship. It just comes down to getting the work done. And I think that's where this goes. If I'm still that person in 10 years, I have no objections.
Ladies and gentlemen, please be upstanding for your manager.
Your manager for the next 10 years.
US men's national team legend, Steve Cherundolo. Okay,
God,
Roger,
he's annoyingly humble.
we are getting ready to bring this night to a close. We want to remind everyone that we will be in San Francisco tomorrow. Come up, come and join us. And then Seattle on Tuesday after the first semi-final. Those of you listening to this as a podcast, if you're in those wonderful cities, be sure to come see us. Some tickets are still available at meninblazers.com. We'll also be live on Twitch for both of the semi-finals. Just go to twitch.tv/meninblazers. Follow us to get involved. For those of you here tonight, the show is just the beginning, basically just a 2-hour pregame, or maybe more than 2 hours, for our post-show drinks, which are going down immediately after this at Nixo Patio Lounge, just across the street inside of the East Central Hotel. But before we finish, Roger, can you cap this magical night of nights off with a toast?
Oh, it's John Johnson, you beautiful man. I've got to say, this has been a terribly fucking awful night for me, and I'm so grateful to have got through it. I lost my auntie today, and then the Grant Wahl news this evening has been terribly dark, so to share this with you, Godspeed. And I want to raise this shot of Jägermeister, this bottle of human emotion in a shot glass. I'm going to raise it to England, Davo.
Wow. Shocker.
To England. That was like a very bad version of like King Henry V, amateur demand. To England! Fuck England. But to England, ahead of their epic showdown against France, a game with a little bit of history, as they say, historically, culturally, and politically, everywhere that is apart from the football field. Because believe it or not, these two arch rivals, they really hate each other.
Yeah,
they really do.
Properly do.
Properly do. Everywhere apart from on a football field. And they've really played a massive tournament game that means anything until tomorrow. And at this World Cup, France have defied every stereotype defending champions. They've also defied every stereotype about the French. They're meant to hate each other. They're meant to self-destruct. But they've made light of a murderous injury list. They play football that would kneecap lesser teams. Mbappe playing in a different ether, making light work of becoming the first player since Pelé to inspire his team to multiple World Cup wins. Griezmann is thriving in an unusual midfield role. A reminder, Greg, that in international football, just get your best bodies on the field, no matter what the position. I'll say England are no slouches. They have got midfield balance. They have defied their critics. They are blessed with a gaggle of attacking options. They've only got the good kind of problems. And English people have two settings, which is doom, and we're going to win it all. And I don't support England, but I want to be clear, their success brings a lot of joy to a lot of people I do love. My family and my friends back there, and it's really crappy in England at the moment. And my great aunt Shirley, who died today, was so proud of Liverpool, which I forgave her for, and England. I just want to say for her, may Kyle Walker have the game of his life and shut down Mbappe like we shut down Kyle Walker's sex parties during COVID. And may England exploit the space he leaves behind. May Gareth Southgate reveal the French to be, in the words of groundskeeper Willie, just cheese-eating surrender monkeys, Davo. Courage.
Courage.